Hey guys, Liana here on Feedback Friday playing The Witcher 3, and I'm trying to find a blinking key to let some merchant out. I've never found a key before. This is something I suppose you would say I am struggling with. I keep looting and I keep using my Witcher sense, but no key. But while I'm fumbling around helplessly, I figure it's a good time to address feedback. And you guys can watch perhaps a not so great part of this game. I'm responding to the responses I got from the piece I did on the Women Action in Media, or Women Action in the Media, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, report on Twitter harassment. And some people did not quite understand what I was saying at all. They posted things like, sorry, I don't agree with your definition of harassment. I wasn't dealing with my definition of harassment. I was dealing with the stuff outlined in the report that I found interesting because previous people had insisted that things like dogpiling and libel or defamation weren't in fact harassment. Women Action in the Media included them as forms of harassment. That I found interesting. And, you know, I think it's important to not throw the baby out with the bathwater when you get to differences of opinion like this. I can not agree that something is as bad as someone's saying. I can still be aware of the sensitivity so that I don't stomp on it. And personally, I think that's a better way to go with something like that, because you don't then accidentally get in trouble. And I have no idea what this key is. This really sucks, and I'm gonna move on if I don't find it soon, because this is boring for you guys. But I don't think there's any benefit to fighting about whether or not something is harassment. I think that we have to allow people to do this sort of policy work and respect that everybody has different limits. And I think that's a big ongoing issue with online stuff that, how do I put this? Everybody has different limits, and some people believe that if someone else's limits are different from theirs, well, then they're just wrong and they should be allowed to ignore them. But that's, to me, not an ideal situation. I think that, you know, people should respect people's differing life experiences and just go, okay, you don't necessarily have to understand a person's boundary inside out and backwards to respect it. And I think that if we just do that little paradigm shift of, you know, okay, that's a bit weird, but you're cool, so I'll just, you know, I'll do you this favor, I think personally that's the better way to go. Maybe that's kooky, but that's me. But someone made an interesting comment on my YouTube channel asking a question about whether discussing, it was a bit vague. I'm going to try to paraphrase it so that we don't get into, you know, identity politics and all that stuff. I'm going to strip all that stuff out to make for a cleaner question. In that, basically the question was, if someone blocks you and then talks about you behind the block and you use a workaround and screen grab that and criticize it, is that harassment? Is it libel, etc.? And I think that's a pretty good question. Oh, this was the junk I dropped before. This is annoying that I can't find this key. And I think that the answer is not a simple one there, and that's why I like the question, because it took me a moment to kind of go, If you simply refute the facts of something, this is not true, this is true, or this is not the facts as I understand them, of course that's not slander, of course that's not libel. You're allowed to discuss the facts of a situation, especially when it directly involves you. If someone's, saying things about you, you have the right to respond to them. I mean, I don't know of anybody in their right mind who would claim that's libel. Now, if you start going and making ad hominem claims about something, for instance, this person is a liar, or even claiming they're lying, unless you have some sort of proof that, one, they're actually distorting facts instead of just stating their opinion, and two, they are deliberately not telling the truth instead of just being mistaken, well, that is defamatory. And that's the difference. Like, at least where I'm in, I live in Canada, so our libel laws are a little bit different. Our libel laws, the focus is on malicious presentation, not so much the facts. So, you can say something that's true, but if it's not, or factual anyway, but if it's not in the public good, you can still be seen to be committing libel if someone determines that you are disseminating this information maliciously. So you're not interested in just getting to the fact of the matter. You're doing it to deliberately screw someone up. Now, people who are public people give up some of those protections to an extent, but let's face it, the vast majority of people involved in these online disputes are not public people. I put up with more than the average person because I am a public person. Now, that still doesn't mean that someone can just spread falsehoods or half-truths in an attempt to undermine my reputation. And I hear monsters. And I'm glad people are actually talking about this and actually, even asking the question in the first place, because it's a valid question. Where do you draw the line? And that is tough. And I think that, the spirit of the law in Canada in this case is the way to go. Just don't be malicious about it. Do things without anger and I know that's tough sometimes. I know it's hard to not get angry because some of these things feel so intensely unfair, right? But if you're coming at it from a place of this isn't fair, I don't think anyone would anyone would claim that's malicious. If you're trying to mess someone up, if you're trying to make someone look bad, either for sport or for revenge, then you're getting into dangerous territory. So, thanks for your feedback. This is what Feedback Friday is for. And I'm going to talk to this dude and get his feedback and call it a day on this video.
What do you need?
Need for my men to finish their work unharmed. But we got corpse eaters coming out all the while. Rid us of them, we'll give you a share.